You're listening to Cosmic Cousins Soul-Centered Astrology. For grounding your ass from all the New Age sass. I am your host, Jeff Hinshaw. Season 6 of Cosmic Cousins is a bi-monthly astrology offering. It's released every new and full moon, and it's dedicated to honoring the interconnectedness of our universal family. And that's through embodied health, self-discovery, and deeper learning. Hey, Cosmic Cousins, welcome back to another week of the show. This is our Aries Full Moon episode. So the sun is in Libra and the moon is in Aries. Or as we say here on Cosmic Cousins, utilizing the Zodiac Queens, sun is in Bell Hooks and the moon is in Maya Angelou. So here on the show, over the last year, we've been working on a project called the Zodiac Queens. We crowned a queen for each astrological sign so we can utilize our queen of Libra and our queen of Aries to deepen our connection to this transit. So let's listen to a clip of each of them so that we can feel this Libra-Aries polarity. So we have sun in Libra, Bell Hooks.
In my classroom, I might say to students, that when we use the term white supremacy, it doesn't just evoke white people. It evokes a political world that we can all frame ourselves in relationship to.
Soul-centered Libra trait number 1 advocates for the improvement of society through equality, social justice, and inclusion. This is the light that we're shining forth to the world right now, sun in Libra. But we also have moon in Aries for this full moon coming up this Sunday, October 13th. Full moon in Aries. Queen of Aries, Maya Angelou. Let's listen to a little clip of her for research purposes into this Aries moon.
Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the hope and the dream of the slave. And so, naturally, there I go rising.
Soul-centered Aries trait number 1 is deeply honors individuals of the past by courageously moving forward. So we're working with this cosmic dance right now. Whenever it's a full moon, we're always gifted the opportunity to reflect on this sacred duality. And so one way we can look at this is by looking at our zodiac queens. But another way that we can just tune into it is thinking of the sun as what we're consciously aware of. It's what we're shining a light to. So we're consciously aware of relationships at this time. Beauty, harmony, social justice, balance. This is all the Libra sun feels, right? But we're also building up momentum towards the Aries full moon, towards the subconscious. This is moon. The subconscious draw towards individuality. Aries. So in order to be in healthy relationship with others, Libra, we must also have a firm sense of who we are as individuals to become an embodiment of our truth, of our birthrights. So in order to have clear boundaries in relationship, we must also hold ourselves to these standards, to our own standards. So this is a window into understanding this duality between these two cardinal signs. Cardinal signs are relationship focus. So we got cardinal fire and air. Fire and air, masculine energy, it is expressive. When they come together, it is igniting. The sunrise is Aries, cardinal fire. Libra is the sunset, cardinal air. So on today's episode, we're going to connect with this polarity to better help us make sense of the soul-centered invitation for this Aries full moon. So we'll do that, and we'll look at some tarot cards, we'll do a little meditation, and we'll also look at the birth chart of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a Libra sun with an Aries moon, so has this polarity. Here on season 6 of the podcast, we are igniting our own inner witch. And we're doing that by aligning ourselves with the rhythm of the moon. So each podcast episode is released every new and full moon to help align us with these natural rhythms. So we're also deepening our connection to the tarot while connecting to the moon. And this is a great tool to utilize to practice in tandem with your astrology practice. I have years of experience with tarot, and so now I'm inviting them back into my practice with astrology and really building a bridge between these two practices. So if you're longing for that, this podcast is a great resource for you to deepen your connection to your intuition through the cards, and also to help you navigate from a soul-centered perspective. So if you do work with the tarot, and if you're able, you might find that during these episodes, you enjoy putting the tarot cards out in front of you so that you can meditate on them. But of course, it's not necessary. Even if you don't work with tarot, or maybe for me, like when I listen to podcasts, I'm walking. So if you're walking, if you're driving, if you're working or doing something else, you also just have access to these tarot images through the power of your imagination, and also the way that I'll describe some of the imagery to you, of course, as well. So to connect with Libra, it's always nice to take out your Libra tarot cards. So we have Justice, which is what I refer to as the soul growth card for Libra. We have the Knight of Swords, which is cardinal air, and then the Empress to represent Venus, which is Libra's ruling planet. And then for Aries, we can go ahead and take out the Emperor, which is a soul growth card for Emperor, or for Aries. And then cardinal fire is the Knight of Wands. And then the ruling planet, Mars, we have the Tower. So go ahead, you can take those 6 cards out, and we'll revisit them later. Well, maybe we won't talk about all of them, but it's just nice to say what's up to all of them. And if you want to take it a step further, you could take out the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups, because we've got this nodes of fate action happening. So we've got all 4 knights out here. We'll talk about that too. And then Venus is the ruling planet for Libra. And you may have felt the shift. I know I have, to be sure, been feeling this shift into Scorpio. So Mercury, the planet of communication, entered Scorpio last week, and Venus entered Scorpio just a few days ago. Venus, as the ruling planet of Libra, is now in this fixed watered subconscious water sign of Scorpio. So it's giving us an extra lean this Libra season, since Libra's ruled by Venus, towards psychological healing, towards death and rebirth, transformation, sexuality, uncovering shadows and darkness and secrets. So to work with this, we could also bring the Death card out. This is the soul growth card for Scorpio. So there's a little bit of this Scorpio death flavor coming in. So, and you would put that right next to the Empress. And I'm putting the Empress right on top of death. So just feel death kind of in the background there. And so now that you have these cards out, and now that you've brought them to your conscious awareness, just this simple gesture will begin to create subliminal shifts in your consciousness. And so we can use it as a backdrop for our time together. And so as I invite you into this, just allow the words to wash over you. I think we'll start here with a little meditation for embodied health. So you can go ahead and bring your awareness to your body and to your breath, and we'll transition into that now. So deep inhale, deep exhale. You can start by bringing the awareness to the lower back. This is the part of the body that Libra rules over, the lower back. You can place your hands here. Just noticing what you might feel in the lower back today. Libra, as cardinal air, it is a sign that is focused on relationship, and you may feel in the lower back that this is where we can hold a lot of weight. So it's a very delicate part of the body. A phrase that we can use for Libra, and we started using it on the show during the Libra New Moon episode, was I choose. So remind yourself, what is it that you planted a seed for at the Libra new moon? What is it that you're choosing right now? Maybe you allow a word to come to you. I choose freedom is something that's coming to me in this moment. That could just be my Aquarian side coming through. But just trust whatever wants to come through. I choose freedom. I choose love. Or maybe it's a bit more specific. I choose to wake up early in the morning. So allow the Libra I choose to come through. And then you can shift the awareness now to Aries. We'll invite Aries into the meditation. Aries rules over the head. And so you can take a deep breath into the head. You can breathe into the brain. Notice the juxtaposition that this might create to the lower back. So connecting to Libra, the lower back, partnership, harmony, balance, relationship. Breathing into the head, connecting to individuality, your pioneering nature, your ambition, your masculine energy, your yang. And then the lower back is feminine, receptive, the yin. So just noticing this polarity here of the Aries and Libra. As you connect with the head and the brain and Aries, I'll share with you the esoteric phrase for Aries. I come forth, and from the plane of mind I rule. I come forth, and from the plane of mind I rule. So we'll go back to that phrase that we created. I choose freedom was my phrase. So remind yourself of that, breathing it into the lower back. And now breathing into the head, I want you to change I choose now to the phrase that we can use for Aries, which is I am or I embody. So breathing into the head, I embody freedom. I am freedom. I choose love. I embody love. So connect to these two phrases and notice what it brings up for you. This is a soul-centered invitation into the Aries full moon. And just open yourself up to receiving any new insight under the light of this Aries full moon. Thank you as always for being here. It is such an honor to be here and to hold space for you. And so Libra Sun, Aries Moon. How are you feeling into these two cardinal energies at this time? For me, this Libra season has been actually quite expansive. Libra does rule my 9th house, which is the Sagittarian house. But it has been expansive. It's also been very productive and in a very Libra way. So there's been lots of collaborations for me. For one, I just started working with a new work partner, Iris Rankin, who is a high vibe Gemini double Leo. And Iris has been majorly supporting me with communications. Hello, Libra, right? But also hello, Gemini. So been helping me with communications and email, and also the expression and expansion of some new offerings, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on in the announcement portion. And we literally, on the first day of Libra season, scheduled a meeting to discuss our new collaboration. And then on the Libra new moon, we were really gentle and we set some intentions. And now that we're building up to the Aries full moon, we're activating our plans into action, right? So I choose to work with Iris, and now I am working with Iris. That could be one way that I'm like feeling into that. So we can see these phrases activating in many different layers in our life. So I encourage you to do that and to journal about it is really great, to write it out and to see it. So Libra is relationship and collaboration, right? So what's going on in your partnerships and in your life? Also here with me, I just moved back to New York City this past month. And since we last talked, I have found a new place to live in. So I just moved into an apartment in the East Village with my longtime best friend and the first person I met when I moved to New York City years ago. And so we used to both work at a vegan restaurant in the East Village. And so it's definitely been like this full circle moment, not just for me, but also with us as a partnership. And so when we're saying Libra partnership, it does not necessarily have to be romantic. It's also with your friends, with your collaborators, with your coworkers. So we activate through relationship during Libra season, and also practices and lifestyles that bring us into a greater balance in our life is great too. So veganism is something that's come up for me. So me and my friend we worked at a vegan restaurant together. And he is still vegan, and I fell off the vegan train, but he's now inspired me to come back to it. And so, and it feels like a homecoming for me to come back to New York City, but also back to this practice that feels really comforting. And so we have the nodes of fate squaring all of the Libra energy this week. North Node in Cancer is homecoming, right? North Node in Cancer is inviting us to spend time with home, to direct our attention towards home and to family, to be deep in self-care, to connect with our intuition, to connect with the water. And I've definitely been taking baths. I've been walking a lot by the water here in New York. And this is a beautiful time of year, Libra season. It's pleasant, right? Especially here on the Northern Hemisphere. I can speak for us here. We enjoy it. It's autumn time, right? We're balanced. Day and night is balanced. So it's mild temperatures. So this Cancer North Node is squaring the Libra Sun. It's also squaring the Capricorn South Node is squaring the Libra Sun. And so this square is coming into this full grand square with the Aries Full Moon. So what this is saying is realizations may be coming to you about how you balance your sense of self with your sense of partnership, and how you might balance that with home, with mom, with parents, with family, but also your career, your long-term planning. Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, Libra. It's the 4 cardinal signs. And so, for instance, even in this new apartment that I just moved into, we just worked on the lighting. So we hung up all of these strings in the living room, and the esoteric phrase for Cancer is, I build a lighted house and therein dwell. I think that's important for us to reflect on too, is Cancer. Because Cancer, the North Node, is the direction we're taking ourselves. And then the Aries Full Moon and Libra Sun are there squaring it and balancing it. So the reason I bring this up, Cancer North Node, right, it's part of the grand square of this full moon. So we've got Cardinal Libra, Cardinal Air, which is Libra, Sun in Libra, opposition to Moon in Aries, Cardinal Fire, and then North Node, Cardinal Water, opposition Capricorn South Node, and also Capricorn Saturn and Pluto we could include in there too, which is Cardinal Earth. And so when 4 planets, or in this case, 2 planets in the nodes of fate, so when these 4 placements form 90-degree angles with one another, they form what is called a grand square, or a grand cross, we could call it. And so this Libra season has brought us to this standstill, right? And once the Aries full moon comes in, so the standstill has been the Libra sun with the nodes of fate, but now that the Aries full moon comes in, it's illuminating it all. It's new awareness on how it's all going to go down. And we're talking about the nodes of fate are the axis of the eclipses. So what was happening in July of 2019? What was happening in January of 2019? So for me, January 2019, I got a new car. I drove it across the country to LA from the East Coast. Cancer season, so that was Capricorn season, Capricorn eclipse. Cancer eclipse in Capricorn season. Then Cancer season, July 2019, was right after I had gotten in a car accident, which was the straw that broke my LA back. And I decided it was time for me to leave LA. So it was like a quick turnaround here. And now Libra season is squaring that because we're 3 months from that 6-month period, January to July, and now it's October. So we're squaring it and we're getting to understand it. And the Aries full moon is allowing us to become conscious of all of that. So to visualize this and to tune into this transit, we can utilize the 4 Knights of the Tarot, right? Knights represent cardinal energy. So here with this grand cross, we're gifted the opportunity to meditate on all 4 of these knights together, which are representing aspects within ourselves and also outside of us. So it's like the Knights of the Round Table meet up. And I posted a picture on the Instagram. There's also a picture of this in the newsletter too. So in a lower form, this can make us feel like we're being pulled in many different directions, right? We've got these 4 knights. They all have different intentions. They're all going different ways. Indecisiveness. It's an inability to produce results. It's friction in our relationships. In the higher form, however, especially since this is a cardinal grand cross, cardinal, right? We are initiating and activating now more than ever. It's supercharged. So this Aries full moon, it's completing the grand cross and it's illuminating opportunities to seize control of our life in a very big and real way. Now is the time to strike the match. The Aries full moon says to us. The Libra Sun is saying, I choose to focus on what connects us, not what separates us. Right? So we're shining a light to loving partnership and collaboration in our life. While the Aries full moon is saying, strike the match, initiate your birthrights, start new beginnings, courageously leap. But then so that's Knight of Wands, Knight of Swords. But then we have the Knight of Pentacles and Knight of Cups also coming in and wanting to speak their mind. So Cancer North Node, Knight of Cups, you're safe and protected by your ancestors. Honor the sacredness of your emotions. Capricorn South Node, Knight of Pentacles, is saying, keep moving forward. Keep practicing patience. Keep showing up. Put in your most responsible self into the ring. And so all of this is coming together. It is beckoning us towards home and family, but also sustainability, resourcefulness, to initiate our birthrights and to do it in partnership and collaboration. So yes, cardinal squares can feel like we're being pulled in different directions. But when we think of our cardinal queens, for instance, we've got Bell Hooks and Maya Angelou. Then we've got Frida Kahlo, Queen of Cancer, and Michelle Obama, Queen of Capricorn. And we've talked about this before on the show, but when we look at all 4 of our cardinal queens together, one, we notice that they're all activists through the lens of their element, right? We also know that they're honoring the past and ancestors while moving us forward. So this is very important for us right now, and it's also reminding me of a Maya Angelou quote. And I'm going to have to paraphrase it for now, but it was something like, when you show up, hello Aries, Queen of Aries, when you show up to a space, to an interview, in a room, bring with you all of those people that ever loved you. Showing up as a full embodiment of yourself, Aries, with the power of your ancestors, with the power of your grandparents, anyone, your teachers, your mentors, your guides. Bring that with you. This is the cardinal fire fields of empowerment that the Aries full moon is inviting us into. Actually, I had a student who said to me that they didn't understand how Maya Angelou represented Aries, that instead to them, she felt much more like just a representation of life. They said she felt more like the queen of life. And I said that that's just it, that Aries is life. It is this initial spark of existence, right? Aries is the beginning of time. So as we approach the Aries full moon, we're building momentum towards being a living embodiment of the beginning of time, being a living embodiment of our birthrights, right? Aries rules over the head. The head is the first thing that comes through on this plane when we're born into this world. So evolving off Pisces, Aries brings with it this deep understanding of collective hurt and trauma. So from Maya Angelou, Queen of Aries poem, I Rise, and Still I Rise, the poem And Still I Rise, which I'll put a link in the show notes to, her on YouTube speaking this, and we listened to a little clip earlier of this. I'll just read some of this to you. Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind the nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. So there is this initiation that's happening for us right now. No matter what it's been that you've been through over this past year, this past cycle, this past lifetime, whatever you're coming off of, whatever darker emotions you're feeling, this is an activating moon that's asking you to rise. I rise, right? Which is a beautiful phrase that we could also use for Aries. Ruling over the sunrise. So courageously moving forward. And so know this, the Aries moon can be quite emotionally charged at times, especially as a full moon. So this placement, it is associated with bouts of anger or tantrums in the lower form. Wanting to be first, wanting to be the best. So just be aware of these tendencies, breathe into them if they arise. Aries moon, it indicates that soul growth will occur for you as you learn to listen to the rumble of these emotions. And I know I have a friend right now who is going through a breakup, or more like a separation, I guess. And it started coming to his awareness here in Libra season. And so Libra relationship, right? And so Sun in Libra, consciously aware of relationships. And on the Libra new moon, he had mentioned it to me. And now as we've been building towards the Aries full moon, he brought it up to his partner that he needs some space and some freedom because he feels like he's being trapped and smothered in their relationship. Because they do everything together. They're a unit. And so he expressed this to his partner. And his partner, by the way, is a Libra moon. And his partner's very diplomatic, very charismatic, is really good at talking his way in and around things. And so he convinced him to stay together. This is very Libra, actually, right? So when working with Libra and when moving through Libra season, we must maintain a strong sense of personal identity, hello Aries, within our partnerships, hello Libra. So Libra, it's revealing for us these habit patterns within relationships such as codependency, the need for approval, living life through the lens of someone else, right? So it could be these projections onto others. And so what I mean by that is when we're talking about Libra, if you have Libra in your chart, we're talking about this. If we're moving through Libra traits, or transits rather, we're talking about this. Or just by being in a one-on-one relationship, we're engaging with Libra. So if you aren't a Libra, but you have a partner, a one-on-one relationship with someone, which we all do, you're navigating Libra. So what we're talking about is for anyone who's in relationship, but especially Libras, especially Libra Sun, Moon, Risings, and especially because it's Libra season. So on one hand, Libra energy, and when we say energy now, we're referring to anything that is Libra, right? It is Libra in its deficient state. Deficient is a lower state or a lower energy, right? It is, Libra can be this doormat. Libra can be a pushover, wants to be perfect or wants to be everything for the other person. On the other hand, Libra in its excessive state can be manipulative. It can be jealous. It can be overbearing. And so when Libra is emotionally off balance, it will likely fluctuate between these two. these two extremes, the scales of Libra, the teetering, right? So striving to keep equilibrium in relationships at all cost is Libra, even if it means sacrificing the sense of the self. And so it can reveal, and when we're talking about this, I'm not saying this is like the highest form of Libra, but it's part of Libra. So it can reveal this underbelly of passive aggressiveness in your approach towards others. This is Libra swinging into Aries, right? Aggression. So if there is passive aggressiveness in your relationships, this is a red flag. This is an Aries red flag showing you the polarity to Libra. And so it's an indicator for the need for personal space, right? Aries, personal space. And Libra is this very sweet, gentle, peaceful, loving energy, but it can have this underbelly of frustration, anger, aggression. And it can also be quite manipulative to the other person on a very subtle level. So when we might get frustrated with a Libra, or when we might get frustrated in a relationship with someone we deeply care about and love, we might then feel guilty about it, because how can I be angry with a Libra? Libra is just so sweet, right? That might be something that comes up for us. So Libra can be this psychologically insidious, and when it comes to their efforts to maintain equilibrium or balance. So this could be manipulating in relationship, especially now that Venus has gone into Scorpio. And so if you're feeling into any of these themes, the Aries full moon could be an eruption of some sort. Remember, the Tower card is Mars, the ruling planet for Aries. The Tower being struck by lightning, releasing this pent-up energy. So if you're not answering to your truth, hello Justice, hello Libra, this lower form of Aries could come forward. But we might also see that in the world around us too. It can help us understand what's going on politically on the global platform. And so in the case of my friend who is still in this relationship that he expressed to me multiple times that he doesn't want to be in anymore, but that he's still in, I am feeling the build up towards the Aries full moon for him. He's about to explode. He's about to explode with his partner. So this can be eruption of emotions. And so the soul growth card for Aries is the Emperor. And this is a wonderful invitation into the embodiment of your birthrights, of really setting clear boundaries for yourself. And this is not to control the emotions, but it's learning to tune in and to breathe into them and to fully feel all your feelings, no matter how intense they may feel, and no matter how they might be affecting the other person, because at the end of the day, we have only ourselves to answer to. And so if you're worried about hurting someone else's feelings because of your true, authentic self, and you keep that hidden as if to protect the other person, you're only bringing damage to yourself and eventually to them, and there will eventually be some sort of release. And so breakthrough is Aries. So the full moon in Aries, we're leaning into this. We're learning to be, to move from an impulsive reaction to life's decisions, so that it's impulsive would be like that explosion, to being more conscious of it, to coming into our power as the Emperor, to coming into a more conscious, a more objective response, to boldly communicate our truth. I choose freedom. I am freedom. So our lesson is to channel our desires and our emotions into this constructive avenue of expression, to be very decisive and clear with our actions and with our words from a place of heart-centered compassion. And so this is with the intention to cooperate with others, to make the shift from aggression to this sense of positive, loving self-assertion. And we may even feel that when we look at these cards together that we were talking about, like when we look at the Empress, which is Venus, the ruling planet for Libra, and then the Knight of Swords. So the Empress is surrounded by wheat. It's abundant. It's beautiful. There's a connection to nature. There's running water. It's lounging with a pillow. It's the connection to the body, but also this crown of stars. So it's cosmically connected too. Whereas the Knight of Swords is charging full speed ahead. It's blustery winds, right? This is an interesting time of year because it's beautiful outside, but it's also really windy. And relationships can feel really beautiful this time of year, but it can also be kicking up some leaves. And with Venus and Scorpio bringing in that death card, there is this draw towards transformation, death, and rebirth, shedding of the leaves. But when we look at the Knight of Swords, who's going full speed ahead, that feels opposite of the Empress, right? The Empress is lounging into the embodiment of nature. The Knight of Swords is pursuing something, cardinal air. We must activate this Knight of Swords from the soul growth card of Libra, which is justice. So the Knight of Swords is on a mission to see to it that justice will be served at all cost. And so that justice and truth will be served. And when we look at this is really reminding me, we're going to explore these cards and how they really relate to Libra by looking at the birth chart of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So at this time, let's transition into that. We'll transition into some announcements, and then we'll look at the birth chart of AOC, right? So let's transition into that now. Okay, so this is really nice. I was telling you that I am now working with someone. I have a partner in crime here during Libra season. Iris Rankin is now working in communications for me and helping me with emails and also helping me with important announcements that we have here for the Aries Full Moon episode. So normally I kind of just rip it off the top of my head, but here I have it written out for me. So first of all, I am an astrologer. My name is Jeff Hinshaw. I offer 90-minute astrological readings in the form of MP3s. And so if you're looking to deepen your practice with astrology, you can find out more information at astrologycousins.com. There's also a link in the show notes, and you can also sign up for a newsletter. And it would be beneficial to sign up for the newsletter because I put a lot of things in there. Like there'll be a photo of the 4 night cards in this newsletter, which we talked about on this episode. I will also have any updates. And so I do have an exciting new update that will be announced on the Scorpio new moon, but I have a new offering coming up this January. If you're looking to deepen your connection to tarot while also using the support of astrology and other esoteric practices, I have a new tarot offering coming out. So sign up for the newsletter if you aren't already so that you can stay up to date on that. There's also new Patreon supporters that we have this week. So Patreon is a website that helps to support artists and also creators. So if you are a listener of the show and you'd like to make a monthly contribution, if this show is valuable to you, you could sign up at patreon.com/cosmic cousins. And so our new Patreon supporters this week, we have Sarah Bergeson, Craig Rosenfield, Laura Campbell, Francesca Mamlin, and Maureen Davies. And so thank you all so much for your support. It means the world to me. And this show would not be possible without you. So thank you so much. Yeah, there's also going to be a link in the show notes to Patreon too. So if you'd like to help contribute, you can. And so thank you to all of the new supporters so much. Another announcement we have is I was interviewed by a Brooklyn Fool alumni, Holly Ramey, who is the host of the podcast called Tarot Talk. And Holly is a professional tarot reader, Reiki master, and yoga instructor. And on Tarot Talk, Holly serves you some practical magic and gives you tips and tools to bring the mystical into your everyday life. And there is an episode coming out for the Aries Full Moon. I'm not sure when that episode comes out yet, so the link in the show notes is to the Tarot Talk podcast, but sometime this weekend, that episode should come out. And then finally, I'd like to make an announcement about my Aries book that I wrote this past year that is coming out in the beginning of January, but it is up for pre-order. So if you're interested in diving deep into this cardinal fire sign, this conscious fire sign, this personal fire sign, and you're wanting to get more into the depth of soul-centered Aries, learning about how it evolves off of Pisces, learning about Aries as a child, Aries as a student, as an adult, in work, in career, all of these things. I go into it deep in this book, and that will be out in January, but you can also go ahead and pre-order it. There is a link in the show notes for that as well. And yeah, so Aries book, 90-minute astrology readings available. Tarot course is coming out, so sign up for the newsletter if you want more information on that. New Patreon supporters. I'm working with Iris now, and then Tarot Talk with Holly Ramey. Those are our announcements for this week. And so at this time, we can transition into our final part of this episode. We'll tune into the birth chart of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Okay, so I thought it would be cool for us today to honor the life of and the work of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known by the initials AOC. If you aren't familiar with AOC, she is an American politician and activist who serves as the U.S. representative for New York's 14th Congressional District, and she is the youngest woman ever to be elected to Congress at the young age of 29, and that was last year. And it was actually just after Libra season last year, and so we didn't even know who she was last year during Libra season, or at least not like so publicly, not so on a grand scale. So I didn't put her in Queen of Libra, but if it was this year, I would, to be sure, put her in the Queen of Libra competition because, or the Queen of Libra celebration rather, because she has really been a huge voice this past year. And so she was born on October 13th, 1989, and October 13th is the full moon this year, is on October 13th, so full moon in Aries, and she has an Aries moon with a Libra sun. So she is the cosmic energy of the full moon. So a little bit more, Ocasio-Cortez drew national recognition when she won the Democrats' Party primary election originally. So this was a little bit before. This was June 26th of 2018. And during this, she defeated the Democratic caucus chair, Joe Crowley, which was a 10-term incumbent and what was widely seen as the biggest upset victory in the 2018 midterm election primaries. And so she defeated Republican opponent Anthony Pappas in the November 6, 2018 general election. And that was right as Jupiter was going into Sagittarius, right? This is an expansion for anyone who's Sagittarius, we could say. And she's got a Sagittarius rising. So she's a Libra Sun, Aries Moon, Sagittarius rising, which makes her a bell hook sun and a Maya Angelou moon with a Tina Turner rising. So really interesting to look at her life and see what she's been bringing to the table as this fierce expression, right? So she has been noted for her substantial social media presence relative to her fellow members of Congress. She's got a ton of followers on Instagram. She really utilizes technology to make information available to a wide cross-section of people, and she's got her Aquarius North Node too. So in July 2019, news articles about her received at least 4 times as many interaction as those of any of the Democratic presidential candidates, which is interesting. So she's among the first female members of the Democratic Socialist of America elected to serve in Congress. She advocates a progressive platform that includes Medicare for all, federal jobs guaranteed, a proposed Green New Deal, abolishing the U.S. immigration and customs enforcements, free public college and trade school, and a 70% marginal tax rate for incomes above $10 million. These are some of the things that she's representing for. And so Her story is that she worked as a waitress and bartender before running for Congress in 2018. And so she's been this fierce, pioneering expression, which is the Aries Moon. And a lot of her work is about social justice and equality. So pulling up her birth chart now, let's look at it. Okay, so Libra Sun, shining a light to equality and social justice. And she's got the Libra Sun in her 10th house, which is public appearance. So she is advocating for the improvement of society through equality and social justice as her career, 10th house. Then she's got Mars and Libra hanging out right there with the Sun. Mars is how she activates this energy. This is also putting her in a very fierce, ambitious role in the community because it's in the 10th house. Then she's got Black Moon Lilith hanging out there and Libra as well. Black Moon Lilith is it feels like the witch in your chart, but it's the aspects that have been repressed by our modern patriarchal society, and it can represent the rage that we feel from that. It can represent where in our chart that we are uprooting these patriarchal constructs. And so Black Moon Lilith and Libra. To have your Sun and Black Moon Lilith and Libra, this is going to be the light that you're shining to the world. So when we look at these three things in the 10th house, her career, her role in the public sphere is to shine a light of equality towards the repressed aspects of the feminine that have been shunned by our modern patriarchal society in a way that is this fierce expression of ambition and the cardinal fire right to act. And so I'd like to play you a clip now of AOC really sticking it to the U.S. government when the government was having its shutdown. And this was in the first House speech. So this was back in January of 2019, which we had talked about. Think back to January 2019. This is when there was the Capricorn Cancer eclipses. So this whole year with the government, Pluto, right? Pluto's in Capricorn, deep psychological healing around the patriarchy and government. We have been noticing that. And so let's listen to this clip and see what themes you can feel into as AOC speaks.
Today I rise to tell the story of one of my constituents, Yahi Obed. Mr. Obed was born in Yemen and came to the United States when he was 8 years old. His childhood dream was to become a pilot. And he knew and felt that in the United States, all things are possible, and his dream could come true. Mr. Obed's dream did come true. He's been a federal employee for 14 years, has 2 children, and a mortgage for his home in the Morris Park neighborhood of the Bronx. He studied hard, got his pilot's license, and is now an air traffic controller supervisor at John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City. I spoke with Mr. Obed today over the phone. He and air traffic controllers like him across the country missed their first paycheck this past week. He was telling me about how stressful his job is. Every single day, air traffic controllers have thousands of people's lives in their hands. With weather changes, flight delays, staffing complexities, and a myriad of other issues, their days almost never go exactly to plan. His job is to find solutions, analyze, and adapt in real time to keep people safe in one of the busiest airspaces in the United States and the world. And it is terrifying to think that almost every single air traffic controller in the United States is currently distracted at work because they don't know when their next paycheck is coming. Federal workers' jobs are stressful enough. The rise in New York City's cost of living is stressful enough. The fact that Mr. Obed's family cannot be reunified due to fears over the Muslim ban is stressful enough. His several $1,000s a month Bronx mortgage is stressful enough. The anti-immigrant sentiment of this administration is stressful enough. And the truth of this shutdown is that it's actually not about a wall. It is not about the border, and it is certainly not about the well-being of everyday Americans. The truth is, this shutdown is about the erosion of American democracy and the subversion of our most basic governmental norms. It is not normal to hold 800,000 workers' paychecks hostage. It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want. It is not normal for public servants to run away and hide from the public that they serve. And it is certainly not normal to starve the people we serve for a proposal that is wildly unpopular among the American people. Each and every member of this body has a responsibility to this nation and to everyone in the United States of America, whether they voted for us or not. And this president shares in that responsibility as well, which means he has a responsibility to my constituent, Mr. Obed. President Trump has a responsibility to all air traffic controllers, FDA inspectors, TSA workers, and he has a responsibility to maintain the basic functioning of the United States government. Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, I yield my time.
Boom. I mean, first off, the authority in her voice. Can you feel that Libra Sun, Mars, Mercury, midheaven communication, social awareness there? It's very poignant. It's very clear. Knight of Swords is very directed. Cardinal air, the initiation through words in a compassionate way. And also the subconscious Aries moon, right? The desire to reclaim respect as the embodiment of one's birthrights. So AOC is triggering to many people, which feels very Libra to me. Libra is here to act as a mirror. And then when we also have this Aries moon in there, it can have this heightened emotional awareness. And Aries is also the baby, right? It's the first sign. And so being the youngest woman in Congress, being a pioneer here is really cool. She also talks about the erosion of American democracy. Boom. We're going to notice this Capricorn energy in her chart in just a moment. But this erosion of American democracy, she's talking about the morals and the values and the constructs and the very system at hand. No big deal, right? Then we've got Mercury in Libra too, but this is in the 9th house, but it's just a few degrees from the midheaven. So the Mercury in Libra is conjunct the Libra midheaven. So she is communicating about these expansive truths, 9th house, that are building bridges around the world. 9th house is world travel through the power of her voice. So it's an awareness of universal truth that's restoring harmony and balance within the global sphere, right? So that's the Libra energy. Other side of the chart, we know we have this opposition going on because we've got the Aries moon and also Eris and Aries. Pretty much everyone alive on this planet has Eris and Aries. Eris is the sister to Mars. And she's she's the warrior feminine. That's what she represents, Eris, E-R-I-S. And she has been in the sign of Aries, I believe, since the 1920s. And she stays in there until about 2030. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to go back and look. But it's like a 100-year period or longer that Eris, the warrior feminine, is in the sign of the pioneer Aries. So this is the age of the pioneering feminine, warrior feminine. And so it's present in all of our charts, but it's important to note because it is in opposition to her, in an exact opposition by 1 degree to her Mars in Libra. She's got the pioneering warrior feminine opposition to Mars in Libra. And so oppositions really can resonate with one another. There's lower vibrations of it too, but here we can see it's anger and aggression, Mars, channeled through equality and social justice for the public spheres, and then Aries and Eris, the divine warrior feminine, being expressed through the 4th house of family, home, emotion, ancestors. And then her moon in Aries is at the 3rd degree opposition to the Libra midheaven, and it's moon in Aries in the 3rd house. So now she is acting with divine intention as a conscious agent for equality. Moon in Aries, as a pioneering spirit, she's paving a pathway for future generations as the youngest woman elected to Congress, and doing it in the 3rd house for the community. It's a big part of her work, is talking about the community that she represents through her communication, 3rd house. So we also have Capricorn and Cancer present as well. So we were talking about the Knights representing cardinal energy. We're in this T-square right now. All of this is hitting AOC's chart right now because she's got a Capricorn stellium and 2 planets in Cancer. So she's got Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune in Capricorn in the first house. Let's break that down. Uranus, revolutionary in Capricorn, government. First house, her very sense of self and identity. So she is radicalizing government. We have Saturn in Capricorn, restrictions in patriarchy, restrictions with authorities in government. So she's also coming up against obstacles in regards to this. But when we really commit to Saturn, it allows us to then become an authority in that field. So she's now an authority in government that is also innovative in government, her very sense of self, first house. But this is interesting because she has Neptune conjunct Saturn in Capricorn. And I know a lot of you tuning in, these babies, Uranus, Saturn, Neptune, and Capricorn are like 1988 to like 1991, like that kind of that window. We could be feeling into these planets. So Neptune in Capricorn is connecting to a devotional, spiritual side of your career. Your public appearance is a bit more spiritual, perhaps. So she's becoming an authority in regards to her spirituality and government. That is also innovative. And with all the Capricorn energy in the sky right now, and the South Node is about to go through these 3 planets in her chart, there is going to be a lot of release happening here and a lot of realignment. I think of the South Node as a realignment of the higher values of that. And so the North Node is in Cancer right now. She has Jupiter in Cancer and Chiron in Cancer. My gosh, Jupiter is expansion and faith with family and home, with emotion. And then Chiron is the wounds with family and emotion, the wounds of the matriarchy. But Chiron shows where we have the capacity to heal that. And so these things are opposing the Capricorn energy. So she also has this grand cross in her chart that we're experiencing right now in the sky. And then just to make it even more expansive, Jupiter has been in Sagittarius this year. And she's a Sagittarius rising. So this has been a year of expanding into her rising potential. And the next year, Jupiter goes into Capricorn. And so there's going to be more expansion in regards to her innovation, her commitment, and her spirituality when it comes to her public appearance and career. And then after Capricorn is her Aquarius North Node. And so her life's purpose is to take us forward towards a future where we are all united as a collective. And also technology to make information available to a wide cross-section of people. She's really great with the social medias. And so then Jupiter will go into Aquarius in 2021. So there's a lot of expansion for AOC here in the chart that we see present. So she's here to stay for a while. And we do know that we need this pioneering spirit. And so what an honor it has been to look at her life and her chart. AOC is her inner-Dorothy. She is a peaceful little girl, Libra Sun, riding a horse at sunrise, Aries Moon, expanding the horizons of our world, Sagittarius Rising, bringing people together in a circle, Aquarius North Node. A peaceful little girl riding a horse at sunrise, expanding the horizons of our world, bringing people together in a circle. And that's exactly what she's done through her life and work. AOC, if you're listening to this, happy solar return. Thanks for being that fierce expression of life of that Aries moon. All right. Thank you as always for tuning into the show. It brings me a lot of joy to be here on this journey with you all. And I would like to read a comment that a listener of the show left on the iTunes, which you can always leave a comment. It helps me to just know that you're out there. And so here's a comment. Someone said, love this show with all my deep feels. I've been listening for a couple episodes and slowly combing through the archives as well. A wealth of information shared lovingly and made accessible to all. I love how inclusive and authentic Jeff is about the show. Makes my heart sing every new episode. Keep shining your light and spreading the love. Sending my love from your cosmic cousin in the Midwest. It's really nice. And to all of you, keep shining your light and spreading your love. And if you'd like to do that through the form of a review, that would be really nice. Right now we have 279 ratings, and I'd love to get up to like 300. So if you haven't left a 5-star review, if you haven't left any comments, this could be a cool time. And happy Aries full moon to you. And we do have a new system. I'll be releasing the episodes 2 days before each full or new moon. I want to become more consistent in that. And so now that I have support from Iris, I'll be able to do that. So you can look out for the episodes 2 days before the new or full moon transits. And yeah, thanks for being here, and take sweet care. And remember, deep breaths.